Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Today I'm breaking down a seriously twisted documentary for you called Indian Predator, the Diary of a Serial Killer. In this video, you're going to see how a serial killer would make friends with different people, then murder them, scoop out their brains, boil them up and drink the soup. Yeah, you heard me right. This is based on a true story, and it's some real-life craziness you need to know about, so let's not waste any time and dive right into it. The story kicks off in Prayagraj, back when it was still called Allahabad. This is our guy, Dheerendra Singh, who lives there. Dheerendra had 3 brothers, and the youngest was named Dheerendra. Dheerendra was a super hard-working dude, a journalist for a newspaper called Aj. He was renting a room in Allahabad, always fighting for the people in his community. He was a real up-and-coming journalist, and he never had beef with anyone. But one time, he published a story exposing illegal mining happening in Allahabad, trying to get it shut down. This obviously pissed off the local mining mafia. So one day on the evening of December 13th, 2000, Dheerendra tells his office, "Yo, I'm heading to my village tomorrow, so I won't be in." At the time, his wife was pregnant. His uncle lived nearby, so he swung by and told him, "I'm off to the village. If you need to send any message, let me know." He heads out on December 14th. But when he doesn't come back by the 16th, his uncle and his journalist buddies start to get worried. They try calling his phone, but it's not connecting. As more time passes, his friends and family start freaking out, thinking something terrible must have happened to him. I mean, in a city like Prayagraj, a good journalist just vanishing is a huge deal. Back then, the state of UP was basically #1 in murders. The news of Dhirendra's disappearance was splashed across every newspaper headline. A missing persons report was filed at the Kiadganj police station. The officer in charge at the time was Sri Narayan Tripathi. This is him, the lead investigator. The top cop in the city, the SSP, put Tripathi on the case. First thing, Tripathi goes to Dhirendra's room and gives it a thorough search, looking for any clue about where he might have gone. They find his cell phone charger still plugged into the wall. That's when Dhirendra's journalist friend, Satyendra Singh Chauhan, gets a hold of his call records. They find a few interesting numbers. One belonged to a former member of parliament, another was a landline to someone's house, and a third was for the railway inquiry line. Tripathi decides to call that landline to figure out who it belongs to. A woman named Phulan Devi answers the phone and says, "I'm a member of the district panchayat." She even gives him her address. When Tripathi talks to Dhirendra's brother, he confirms, "Yeah, Phulan Devi is the panchayat member from our village. Her husband's name is Raja Kolander." Now this Raja Kolander dude was known to be a bit shady. He used to work at the ordnance depot but got fired for stealing. He couldn't even afford a new motorcycle, but suddenly this guy has a scooter, a TV and a VCR. Dhirendra's brother was thinking, this guy has to be into some shady business. When the cops roll up to the address, they find Phulan Devi. She claims Dheerendra never came there. A little while later, while the cops are still in the village, Raja Kolander himself shows up in a fancy car. Tripathi asks him, "Why's that district panchayat member sign on your car? You're not the member, your wife is." Raja just mumbles that he put it there for show. His neighbors backed him up, saying Raja was a quiet guy who kept to himself and never caused trouble. But the journalist Rati Ban Tripathi drops a little-known fact. Right before the local elections, Raja had legally changed his wife Gomti's name to Phulan Devi. Why? Because the original Phulan Devi, the famous bandit queen, was a household name. She'd even become a member of parliament. Raja figured if his wife had the same name, she'd get famous too. And you know what? The trick worked. His wife won the election. So what went down was this. Raja and his brother-in-law, Vakshraj, were both brought into the station for questioning. Raja clammed up, wouldn't say a word. But when they brought his brother-in-law in, the guy looked terrified, pale as a ghost. Then a cop notices Raja's shoes. They looked way too big for him. When they asked him how much he paid for them, Raja totally fumbled his answer. That's when the cops knew this dude did something to Dheerendra. The call record showed that a call was made from Dhirendra's phone on the 16th. When the cops press Raja Kolander about it, he stays silent. But listen, cops have their own way of making people talk. They started roughing up the brother-in-law, Vakshraj. After taking a beating, Vakshraj spilled the beans. Dheerendra's phone was in the car. After that, around 3 a.m., Raja Kolander finally broke. He confessed that he was the one who murdered Dheerendra. When Dheerendra's family and friends heard the news, they were devastated. His older brother, Virendra, said that when they told Dheerendra's pregnant wife, she just broke down. She already had a 3-year-old son who would now have to grow up without a father. This is Rahul Singh, Dheerendra's older son. Rahul says, "I was maybe 2 or 3 at the time. As I got older, my family told me what happened to my dad. If he had been around, I probably wouldn't have had to struggle so much. My life would have been totally different." Dheerendra Singh adds, "For a moment, we thought about an eye for an eye. But we're educated people. We realized that would just ruin our own family's lives. We couldn't go down that path." Investigator Tripathi says that when they questioned him, Raja Kolander told them the car he had was stolen. He was paranoid that Dheerendra knew about it and was scared the journalist would rat him out to the police. So he invited him over to his house. "I had a pig farm at my place," Raja said. "It was winter, December. As soon as Dheerendra showed up in the morning, I had a fire going and told him to come warm his hands. Then I sent my brother-in-law to get some tea. Dheerendra was sitting with his back to the door. Raja's brother-in-law came back, but not with tea. He came back with a homemade pistol and shot Dheerendra right there. This is Adalat Singh, a private school teacher. He's Ram Niranjan's son. That's Raja Kolander's real name. Adalat says, "When the police took my dad away, I was just a kid, maybe 14 or 15. My dad just said, 'I did it. Why are you bothering my kids?' The cops kept us at the station for 15 days. They'd take my dad in for questioning every day, and they'd torture us right alongside him, trying to get him to tell them every single detail." A journalist explains that Kolander was a hardened professional criminal. Getting the truth out of him wasn't easy, but like I said, the police have their ways. When they asked him where the body was, he told them everything. After the murder, we stayed at the pig farm all day. The walls were high so nobody could see inside. As soon as it got dark, we put his body in our sumo and drove off to dump it. On the way, we hit the border between UP and MP. I stopped the car, got out before the cops could even approach me, and walked right up to them. I told them I'm Raja Kolander. They probably thought, "Oh, MP has some minor royalty types. This must be one of them." They just let me go, all while Dheerendra's body was in the trunk. We drove past Shankargarh into Rewa district, found a deserted spot, and pulled Dheerendra's body out. First, we took off his clothes. Then, we cut his head off from his body. After beheading him, we also cut off his penis and left his naked body there so no one could identify who he was. When the police found the body, nobody claimed it. They buried it as a John Doe. But that very night, the Rewa police got a call from Allahabad. Dheerendra Singh says, "When we heard about the headless body, we went there to identify it. Even without a head, you can recognize your own brother." The next day, they took Raja Kolander back to the scene. He showed them where he dumped the body and where he'd thrown Dheerendra's clothes. They got permission from a magistrate to exhume Dheerendra's body. Tripathi says Dheerendra's head was found further down, near a dam. They had to use a boat to retrieve the head, which was completely decomposed inside a plastic bag. Dheerendra Singh says, "We never in our wildest dreams imagined that we would have to perform our brother's last rites twice." Now every newspaper had the same headline: "Journalist Dheerendra's killer captured." The real story was that Dheerendra had never even been to his house. The motive Raja gave was that Dheerendra knew about his criminal activities, and Dheerendra had a Bajaj motorcycle that Raja wanted. After the murder, he drove the bike to Banaras and left it with a relative. He still had Dheerendra's phone but didn't know how to use it. At a railway station, he asked some VIP-looking guy to show him, and Raja started using it, which is ultimately how the police tracked him down. Dheerendra's brother Virendra shares more tragedy. Just 6 months later, Dheerendra's wife died in an accident. After that, we raised her 3 children along with our own 3. Tripathi asks Raja, "Where's the gun?" He told them, "It's at my house, hidden among some cow dung cakes." Tripathi took his team there and found the gun. But while searching, they found a trunk. Inside were a bunch of vehicle documents, and tucked between them was a small diary. On the cover it said, Raja's Diary. When they started reading it, they found the names of 13 other men, all listed before Dheerendra. This is where Rajat Mitra, a psychologist who consults for the police, chimes in. He explains that almost all serial killers keep a diary. They use it for different reasons. One reason is that, say, 20 years later, they can look back and get a thrill from reading about what they did. The first name in the diary was Kali Prasad Srivastava. He was a clerk at the same ordnance depot as Raja. One day, he just vanished. His son says, "My dad left for work and never came home. We filed a missing persons report. And guess who helped us in the search? Raja Kolander. Little did we know, he was the one who made my father disappear." Ratiban Tripathi explains that Raja had a financial dispute with Kali Prasad. He felt cheated. One day he invited Kali Prasad to his house, and in the middle of their conversation, he chopped his head off. Then he buried Kali Prasad's body under a peepal tree. And now for what he did after cutting off his head, this will freak you out. Raja Kolander confessed that he took Kali Prasad's head, boiled it, and drank the brain soup. He believed that this would give him the victim's intelligence and power. Investigator Tripathi says that when Raja confessed to burying people, they followed the legal process and started excavating the site. They found several human skeletons and 2 skulls. One was painted red, the other white. Raja explained, "The red one belongs to Kali Prasad. He was a lala, a merchant, so I painted his skull red. The white one belonged to Muhammad Moin. Muhammad Moin also worked with him, and they were supposedly good friends. But Moin had also apparently wronged him over 25,000 rupees. Since Moin was a Muslim, Raja didn't bury his body thinking it would grant him salvation. Instead, he threw the body in the river. He put the head in a plastic bag and took it home. There he extracted the brain, boiled it, and drank the soup." Tripathi says with disbelief, "Man, if you wanted to learn dark arts, you could have just read a book. Is this really how you learn it?" It turns out, Raja Kolander befriended every single one of his victims. Psychologist Rajat Mitra explains that Raja would meticulously plan every step of his crime. Make no mistake, Raja Kolander was a stone-cold, intelligent psychopath. Now we hear from Raja Kolander himself, from inside Unnao jail. He says, "The police just framed me. They took every unsolved missing person case in UP and pinned it on me. I'm completely innocent." On the news, Raja even claims that some of the people from his diary are still alive. But that's total BS because their names were right there in his diary. Enter Deepak Patel, a politician from Shankargarh. In 2000, there were local elections. On one seat, Deepak's mother was running. On another, Raja Kolander's wife, Phulan Devi, was running. After they both won, Deepak's mother was a candidate for the head of the district panchayat. On August 3rd, I get a call from Raja Kolander. He says, "Come meet us or we're not voting for you." My dad was busy, so I said, "I'll go meet him myself." Raja insisted, "No, you have to come alone." When I got there, the vibe was just weird. It was dark, and there was this strange smell. He asked me, "Did you bring the money?" I said, "I didn't bring any money." But he said, "I can see the money in your pocket." You could see the bulge of it through my pocket. He said, "Let me just do my prayers, then we'll talk." He started his puja hat, but trust me, it wasn't a prayer. He was doing some bizarre stuff. He lit an incense stick and started waving it in my face. I started to get this feeling of dread. My heart started pounding. I just got up and walked out of there without saying a word. If he had seen me leaving, he probably wouldn't have let me go. I was just lucky. Later, when I found out about the whole case, I went to see the place where he used to bury the bodies, the spot where they dug up the skeletons. That was the exact spot I was sitting that night. You could say I dodged a major bullet. Rajat Mitra explains that people like Raja always think they are the victims. So when they kill someone, they don't feel guilty. They just think, he did me wrong, so I gave him the punishment he deserved. We hear from Hansraj Kol, who works for the tribal Kol community. He explains that Raja Kolander himself was from the Kol community. But cannibalism? That has nothing to do with their culture. Badri Narayan, a sociologist, states, if Raja was a cannibal, that was his own personal addition. It has nothing to do with tribal culture. Tripathi recalls Raja's confession. In court, I found a commander jeep, and the driver was a Brahmin. People say Brahmins eat a lot, so I befriended this Brahmin, brought him to my place, killed him, and when I pulled out his intestine, I examined it closely. Then I brought another guy and cut him open. When I measured them both, their intestines were exactly the same. I buried them both on my pig farm. But where I buried the Brahmin, I planted a peepal tree. Journalist Ratiband Tripathi remembers the press conference after the arrest. They had Raja and Vakshraj sitting there with two skulls next to them. Raja had this cold, blank expression, zero remorse. In the footage, Raja denies killing Dheerendra, but when Vakshraj's sister is asked, she says, "I think Dheerendra must have been at fault for this to happen to him." Raja's son Adalat says, "My dad isn't the kind of person who would just take someone's life." Raja himself claims, "They pinned a murder on me, but I know for a fact that guy is alive. I don't know whose skulls the police are digging up and blaming me for." Tripathi is firm. "He showed us the locations, and we found the skulls and skeletons right there. He killed those people simply to establish his dominance." Raja complains from jail. "The court hasn't reached a verdict in 20 years. It's almost impossible for the poor to get justice, sir." The psychologist Rajat Mitra explains, "Every serial killer sees himself as a victim. They don't believe in the justice system. They think whatever they are doing is their own form of justice." Ratiband Tripathi says Raja hated upper caste people. That's why all of his victims were from upper castes. And that's why he wanted to become a powerful man himself. He wanted to be a king. The narrative shifts to his life behind bars. This is P.N. Pandey, a jail superintendent. He says, "When Raja was in my jail, I mostly saw him either praying or reading law books. He knew the system. He knew that going on a hunger strike would get the attention of senior officials." This is Shailesh Kumar Gupta, who was an inmate in the same jail. He says, "When I was in jail, people told me about Raja Kolander, that he eats people. I was a bit scared of him, but he always kept to himself. He never seemed like a guy who killed 14, 15 people. He was always normal, even helpful. If an illiterate inmate needed an application written, he would write it for them. He was always ready with a pen and paper. I never saw a monster in him, just a man who wanted to help others." Raja Kolander tells a story from jail. "There were some Pakistani terrorists in our jail. The cops would get them chicken and good cigarettes. We said, 'Hey, this is India. Why are you giving them special treatment?' One day, one of them said their voice would echo all the way to Delhi. We told them, 'Try making it echo in Lucknow first and you'll see what happens.'" Dr. Rajat Mitra explains that people like this always think they are smarter than the law. They try to manipulate you. Raja tells another story. "A new deputy came to the jail. I saw him using a mobile phone. I asked him, 'Who are you, and where did you get a mobile in jail?' He said, 'I'm an inmate.' So I slapped him hard on the ear and said, 'If you're an inmate, don't use a mobile in jail.' After getting slapped, he said, 'I'm a deputy.' So I said, 'Fine, you're a deputy, but you're still gonna lie to me.' He was gone after that, transferred out immediately." Shailesh Gupta adds that there was a rumor that if Raja was left out in the open, he would kill and eat someone. Raja himself says, "They accused me of being a cannibal, but I was out on bail for 2 years, and there was never a single complaint against me. Everyone was drawn to me because I would help the poor file their appeals." Raja says he requested a separate cell. "I told the superintendent, 'Sir, being around people disturbs my meditation. If you could, please put me in a solitary cell.' He said he could only do it if I wrote an application. So I did, and he gave me a separate room." Rajat Mitra explains the real reason. Raja couldn't stand being called a criminal. He wanted to be alone, to live in his own fantasy world, where he was a king, and no commoners were around to challenge him. This is Kamal Mishra, another former inmate. He says, "I made it my mission in jail to give God's message to all the big criminals. People told me to talk to Raja Kolander. I gave him my teachings and he started writing letters to me with questions. Soon he became a devotee of my guru, Sadanand Ji. All he would say was, 'Jai Sadanand Prabhu.'" P.N. Pandey, the jail superintendent, says he felt Raja had some kind of belief in tantric powers. He wanted to worship the goddess Baglamukhi, whom his community called the forest goddess. Hansraj Kaul explains that worshippers of Bagula Mata offer sacrifices, first pigs, then goats, now even chickens. One time in jail, Raja was doing a ritual and a fire broke out. When the guards asked what happened, he said, "Sir, I was performing a havan, a fire ritual." Badri Narayan explains that performing a havan for Baglamukhi at night means he was trying to attain tantric power. When a journalist asks Raja if he talks to God, he says, "Yes, I do." Rajat Mitra explains that many serial killers, when cornered, claim they hear voices that told them to commit the crimes. But Raja's delusion was that he was the king of the Kauls and a throne was waiting for him. His real name was Ram Niranjan, a name he hated because it didn't sound powerful. So he changed it to Raja Kolander. A king has the right to pass judgment. A king can take the life of any of his subjects. When this is put to Raja, he denies it. "The police gave me that name. My name is Ram Niranjan." But Kamal Mishra says everyone knew him as Raja Kolander, and he has letters from him signed Raja Kolander. One letter even says, "If you want, I can get you a gun. I can even get you an AK-47. Journalist Ratiban Tripathi says you can see his criminal mindset just by looking at the names of his children: Adalat, court; Zamanat, bail; and Andolan, protest. Badri Narayan explains the thinking. To be a king, you need your own court, so he named his son Adalat. To gain power, you need a movement, so he named his other son Andolan. And Zamanat, bail, is essential for both criminals and protesters, so he named his daughter Zamanat. This all circles back to the stolen Tata Sumo. Where did he get it? His son Adalat says, "Yeah, my dad had a sumo, a jeep and a scooter." But Raja claims the jeep was a friend's. Here's the real story. Raja says he hired a car in Lucknow to take his sick wife back home. The driver was Ravi, and the conductor was Manoj. Amarath Singh, Manoj's uncle, says, "Some people booked a car to take a patient to Allahabad. We thought they were normal people. The car left around 6 p.m. They said they'd be back in 3-4 hours. When they didn't return by 10 p.m., we started to worry. They went out searching for them." Tripathi says Raja confessed, "On the way back from Lucknow, my plan changed. I thought, let's just kill these two, dump their bodies and keep the car." He killed them both in a jungle area and took the sumo. The search party, including some media, reached Allahabad. Dheerendra Singh, the journalist, was among them. When they gave the vehicle details, Dheerendra was the first to realize where the car might be. Raja had repainted it and put a fake number plate on it. This was the motive. Dheerendra had likely started asking questions, and Raja knew his time was up. Pratibhan says Raja's hunger for money and power is what pushed him into a life of crime. Badri Narayan says Raja's main motive was to gain power. As a Dalit, it wasn't easy to run in an election, so he used every method he could to get power, whether it was black magic, getting his wife elected, or stealing a car to look powerful. He started lending money to project an image of a generous man. He started thinking he was superior, often saying, "What brains do you people have? I'm the one with the brains." And to make his brain sharper, he drank the brain soup of a lala to absorb his intelligence. The bottom line, everything he did was to make himself bigger, not for the good of society. Jitendra Singh says Raja Kolander is a born actor. When he was convicted, he told reporters, "I am trapped because of journalists. I don't accept this verdict because I am innocent." Raja Kolander is still confident that one day he will be released from jail. Rajat Mitra says he should remain in jail for his own safety and the safety of others. Narayan Tripathi says, "If a man like that gets out, whether his sentence is over or he's on parole, he will definitely commit more crimes. That's his nature." P.N. Pandey agrees, "I don't think criminals like this should ever be returned to society, not until they are too old to commit a crime." And finally, Badri Narayan says, "You can find many criminals, but where will you find a criminal like Raja Kolander, who is known from the local level all the way to the national level, who has such a wide spectrum of right and wrong?" In 2000, Ram Niranjan, alias Raja Kolander, was convicted for the murder of journalist Dheerendra Singh and the Tata Sumo double murder. He appealed both sentences to the High Court, but his cases are still pending. Ram Niranjan, his wife Phulan Devi, and his brother-in-law Vakshraj are all serving life sentences in jail. However, the allegations of him being a cannibal could never be proven in court. Now, what do you guys think about Raja Kolander? If you found this explanation interesting, please like the video, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends so they can also learn about this reality, about the kind of serial killers that have existed in India. I've uploaded a similar video before, and you can find the link in the description and I button. That video is called Indian Predator, Butcher of Delhi. So I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye-bye.